Let me ask you a question. Why is it that most people work hard every single day, yet still struggle to see their bank account grow? I remember being in that exact situation myself, stuck, frustrated, wondering if I'd ever actually get ahead. But here's the thing, financial growth doesn't have to be slow or complicated. In this video, we're going to break down the secrets that take you from average to abundant step by step. By the end, you'll know the exact strategies normal people are using to accelerate their wealth faster than ever before. Most people struggle with money not because they don't work hard, but because of how they think about it. The average person grows up being told to work a stable job, save what's left, and hope things work out in the long run. That mindset alone keeps people trapped in a cycle where financial growth feels slow, frustrating, and almost impossible to accelerate. The problem is, if you see money as something scarce and difficult to build, your actions will always align with that belief. You'll play it safe, avoid risk, and miss out on opportunities that could multiply your wealth faster than you imagined. The deeper issue is that people associate money with security instead of possibility, and so they only focus on protecting what little they have instead of figuring out how to grow it into something much greater. The solution is a mindset shift, a fundamental reprogramming of how you view money, success, and your own potential. Instead of thinking in terms of limitations, you have to start thinking in terms of expansion. Wealthy people don't look at money as something to save and protect. They see it as a tool, a resource, something that can work for them when put in the right place. When you adopt that mindset, your choices begin to shift. You stop asking, how can I save a few dollars here and there? And start asking, how can I create more value, earn more income, and make money work harder for me than I work for it? This isn't about reckless risk-taking. It's about realizing that money grows when it's directed with intention, not when it's hidden away out of fear. That single shift in perspective is the foundation of fast financial growth, and it's the reason some people leap ahead while others stay stuck. Take, for example, someone working a standard 9-to-5 job who feels like they'll never get ahead. They might be living paycheck to paycheck, constantly budgeting, cutting corners, and stressing over every expense. With the old mindset, they think the only way forward is to keep cutting costs or maybe wait for a small raise from their employer. But when that person shifts their mindset, everything changes. Instead of only thinking about cutting back, they begin to ask how they can increase their income. Whether that's starting a side hustle, freelancing, investing in a skill, or finding ways to add more value at work to justify higher pay. They might take the $200 they usually stash in a savings account earning almost nothing and instead put it into a high-yield investment or use it to build something that produces more cash flow over time. That one shift from scarcity to abundance is the key that unlocks growth. A real-world example of this is someone who starts with nothing but chooses to think differently about money. Imagine an average worker who makes $40 in a year and struggles to save more than $100 a month. With the scarcity mindset that $100 sits in a basic savings account, growing pennies in interest while inflation eats away at its value. But with the abundance mindset, they decide to take that same $100 and invest it into building an online store, learning digital marketing, or even buying shares in a well-performing index fund. Within a year, that $100 a month could become a side business that generates $500 or more in profit, or an investment account that grows faster than inflation. That small shift from protecting money to growing money completely changes the trajectory of their financial life. This is exactly what separates average earners from abundant wealth builders, the understanding that mindset comes before money. Without rewiring how you think about growth, no strategy will ever stick. Once you decide to view money as a tool for expansion instead of simply survival, you'll naturally make decisions that align with building wealth faster and more sustainably. That mindset shift is where the journey from average to abundant truly begins. The problem most people face is that they rely on outdated saving methods that no longer work in today's financial world. From a young age, we're taught that the key to wealth is to save as much money as possible, avoid unnecessary spending, and keep everything tucked away in a bank account for safety. On the surface, that advice sounds responsible, but in reality, it keeps people stuck in a cycle of financial stagnation. Savings accounts today pay almost nothing in interest, while inflation slowly eats away at the value of every dollar. This means that even if you're disciplined enough to set aside money every month, you're actually losing purchasing power over time. The harsh truth is that traditional saving alone won't make you wealthy. It just keeps you afloat, and in many cases, it silently pushes you backward without you even realizing it. People work harder, save harder, but end up frustrated because their money doesn't seem to grow fast enough to change their lives. The solution is to rethink how saving fits into the bigger picture of financial growth. Saving should be viewed as a tool for short-term security, not long-term wealth. The real key is to redirect money into assets that grow, multiply, and produce cash flow. Instead of keeping all your money in a savings account, you can split your approach. Keep a small emergency fund for safety, but the majority of your excess cash should be working for you. That could mean investing in index funds, dividend, paying stocks, real estate, or even building your own business. The point is that saving should not be the end goal. It's just the foundation. Wealth is built by putting money into vehicles that outpace inflation and create long-term growth. This doesn't mean you abandon saving entirely. It means you stop depending on it as the only strategy. By reframing saving as a stepping stone rather than the finish line, you give yourself the ability to actually build wealth instead of simply preserving it. For example, think of someone who diligently saves $500 a month in a traditional savings account. Over the course of 10 years, they've saved $60,000. On paper, that sounds impressive, but if inflation averages even 3% per year, the real value of that money shrinks drastically, leaving them with far less buying power than they imagined. They may feel proud of the discipline, but the results are disappointing because the growth simply isn't there. Now, let's compare that with someone who takes the same $500 a month and invests it in a simple index fund that historically averages 7% annual returns. In the same 10 years, instead of $60,000, they now have around $86,000. That's a difference of over $25,000 achieved without working extra hours or earning more money, simply by choosing a smarter vehicle for their savings. Another powerful example comes from people who redirect their savings toward creating cash flowing assets. Imagine someone who saves $10,000 over a couple of years and then uses that money to purchase a small rental property. That property not only appreciates in value over time, but it also generates monthly rental income that can be reinvested or used to cover personal expenses. Suddenly, saving is no longer just about protecting money. It becomes about creating opportunities that expand wealth. That shift in thinking is the difference between staying average and achieving financial abundance. Traditional saving methods keep you stuck because they're designed to protect money, not grow it. Once you recognize that the purpose of saving is temporary stability and that true wealth comes from leveraging money into assets that multiply, your entire financial strategy transforms. By putting your money to work instead of letting it sit idle, you break free from the illusion of progress and step into a system where your wealth grows faster, stronger, and with far greater impact. The problem many people face is relying on only one stream of income, usually their full-time job, while having a steady paycheck feel secure. It's actually one of the riskiest financial positions to be in. If that single source of income disappears due to layoffs, company downsizing, or unexpected personal circumstances, their entire financial stability collapses overnight. Even when the job is stable, one income source typically isn't enough to cover rising living costs, build savings, and invest for the future all at the same time. The average person spends their life trading time for money, and since there are only so many hours in a day, their earning potential is capped. This dependency on one income stream leaves little room for financial growth and often traps people in the cycle of just getting by instead of moving toward abundance. The solution is to build multiple streams of income that create financial resilience and unlock faster wealth growth. Instead of relying solely on a paycheck, you start adding income sources that work alongside it. These additional streams don't have to be massive from the start. Even a few $100 extra per month can make a meaningful difference. The goal is to create income that doesn't require you to constantly trade your time for it. That could mean passive income from investments, semi-passive income from a side business, or active income from freelancing or consulting. By diversifying your income, you protect yourself from financial setbacks while creating more opportunities to save, invest, and grow wealth at a faster pace. Multiple income streams turn money into a system that works for you rather than relying entirely on your time and effort. For example, consider someone who earns $50,000 a year from their job. They live paycheck to paycheck, and after bills, there's barely anything left to save or invest. Their entire financial future is tied to that single job. But now imagine they decide to create one extra stream of income by starting a small side hustle, like offering freelance graphic design or tutoring online. Let's say this side hustle brings in an extra $500 a month. Suddenly, they have an additional $6,000 per year, which they can direct into investments, savings, or paying off debt. While it doesn't double their income, it accelerates their progress in ways their job alone never could. Over time, that side hustle can grow or evolve into something bigger, providing even more financial security and freedom. A more powerful example is when people combine active and passive income streams. Take someone with a regular 9-to-5 job who decides to also invest in dividend-paying stocks or real estate. At first, the dividends or rental income might seem small, maybe $100 or $200 per month, but that income arrives consistently, even while they're at work or sleeping. Over time, as their investments grow, those numbers multiply. Fast forward a few years, and that person could be making thousands or more per month outside of their primary job. Now, instead of depending on one paycheck, they have several sources of money coming in, which allows them to save and invest at a rate that accelerates financial growth dramatically. The real advantage of multiple income streams is that it changes your financial foundation from fragile to resilient. Losing one income source no longer means total collapse, and every extra stream you create speeds up your ability to achieve abundance. This is how ordinary people transform their finances, by stacking streams of income until their money grows faster than their expenses and their financial future is no longer tied to one fragile paycheck. The problem most people face when it comes to building wealth is that they misunderstand or avoid investing altogether. They often believe investing is too risky, too complicated, or something only the wealthy can afford to do. Because of this fear and lack of knowledge, they either avoid it completely or make poor decisions that cost them money. The consequence is that they keep their wealth, building potential locked away, settling for slow growth or no growth at all. Many people fall into the trap of keeping their money in a low interest account or delaying investing because they think they need a large sum to get started. What they don't realize is that by not investing wisely, they're losing out on the incredible power of compounding, which can multiply small amounts of money into life, changing wealth over time. This hesitation to invest keeps them stuck in the cycle of working harder for money instead of allowing their money to work harder for them. The solution is to embrace smart investing strategies that focus on steady, long-term growth rather than quick wins. Instead of treating investing like gambling, the focus should be on proven methods such as low-cost index funds, diversified portfolios, or real estate investments that provide consistent returns. Smart investing doesn't require perfect timing or advanced financial knowledge. It requires discipline, patience, and a clear strategy. By setting aside money regularly into investments that grow over time, you allow compound interest to do the heavy lifting. The earlier someone starts, the more powerful this effect becomes, but even those who start later can still benefit. The key is to stop letting fear hold you back and start taking small, consistent steps toward building a portfolio. It's not about being aggressive or reckless, it's about making your money work efficiently and in alignment with your long-term goals. For example, imagine someone who earns $45,000 a year and avoids investing because they think it's too risky. They save $200 a month in a regular savings account, and after 10 years, they've saved to $24,000. That sounds good until you realize that inflation has reduced the actual purchasing power of that money, and it hasn't grown at all. Now compare that with someone who invests the same $200 each month into an index fund averaging 7% annual returns. Over 10 years, that $24,000 contribution grows to nearly $35,000. Over 20 years, it grows to more than $100,000. The only difference is the decision to invest instead of letting fear keep money idle. That's the power of smart investing. The money compounds quietly in the background while you continue with your life, and over time it creates opportunities that saving alone never could. Another example is someone who uses investing to create passive income streams. Let's say they save $10,000 and put it into dividend, paying stocks that average a 4% annual yield. That's $400 a year in income without lifting a finger. And as they reinvest those dividends and grow their portfolio, the income compounds year after year. Eventually, those dividends could cover a portion of living expenses or even replace a paycheck entirely. Similarly, real estate can provide the same benefit by purchasing a rental property. They not only benefit from property appreciation, but also from monthly rental income. Both examples show that smart investing isn't about chasing overnight riches. It's about creating systems where money works continuously to build wealth in the background. The real difference between people who stay average and those who achieve abundance is not how much money they start with, but how effectively they put that money to work through investing. By overcoming the fear of risk, adopting proven strategies, and committing to long-term consistency, anyone can unlock the power of compounding and accelerate their path to financial growth. The problem is that most people overlook the daily money habits that quietly determine their financial future. They focus on big financial moves like getting a promotion or starting a business, but ignore the small, consistent behaviors that either build wealth or drain it away. Habits like impulse spending, using credit cards for unnecessary purchases, or failing to track expenses may not feel significant in the moment, but over time they add up to massive financial setbacks. The average person might waste hundreds of dollars each month without even realizing it, money that could have been used to grow investments or build a financial cushion. Without intentional habits, money slips away faster than it comes in, leaving people wondering why they can never seem to get ahead despite working hard. The truth is that wealth is rarely the result of one big decision. It's the outcome of small, repeated choices made consistently over years. The solution is to develop hidden money habits that support long-term growth and align with building abundance. Wealthy people don't just earn more, they structure their lives around systems that automatically grow their money and protect them from wasteful spending. Simple shifts like automating savings, investing before spending, and practicing mindful purchasing can completely transform someone's financial trajectory. These habits take the emotion out of money decisions by putting systems in place. For example, instead of waiting to see what's left over to save, setting up automatic transfers into an investment account ensures that wealth grows every month without relying on willpower. Similarly, tracking expenses daily or weekly builds awareness and prevents mindless spending from derailing progress. Over time, these hidden habits compound just like investments do, creating stability, discipline, and predictable financial growth. For example, imagine someone earning $60,000 a year who spends impulsively whenever they see extra money in their account. They may not think much of 15 lunches or 200 shopping trips, but those habits quickly drain thousands of dollars annually. At the end of the year, they're left with little to show for all their hard work, and they feel stuck in the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. Now compare that with someone who adopts the habit of automating 20% of their income into a savings and investment account before they even see it. For this person, the habit removes temptation and guarantees progress. That same $12,000 saved annually could grow significantly over time, creating financial opportunities the impulsive spender will never have. The difference isn't income level, it's habit. Another example is debt management. The average person makes the minimum payment on credit cards because it feels less painful in the short term. But this habit causes years of interest payments and financial stress. By shifting to the habit of paying down high interest debt aggressively, someone can save thousands in interest and free up future income for investments. Even small habits like cooking at home instead of eating out or reviewing financial goals weekly reinforce discipline and free up resources that accelerate financial growth. Each habit on its own might seem small, but when combined, they create a foundation for abundance that feels effortless over time. Wealthy individuals rarely rely on sudden windfalls or luck. They rely on consistent money habits that align with their goals. These habits are not glamorous, and most people don't even notice them, but they are the invisible engine behind financial freedom. By replacing poor spending patterns with intentional habits that automate growth, reduce waste, and maximize income, anyone can begin shifting from average to abundant without waiting for a big break or massive income increase. The problem for most people is that they don't have a clear step-by-step plan to move from living paycheck to paycheck toward real prosperity. They may have the desire to grow financially, but they rely on random bits of advice, impulsive decisions, or short-term fixes that never create lasting change. Without a roadmap, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, confused, and stuck in the same cycle year after year. Many people end up chasing the latest financial trend, dabbling in different side hustles, or trying to save without any structure, only to give up when results don't come fast enough. This lack of direction leads to frustration, and over time, it kills the motivation to even try, leaving people resigned to the idea that wealth is only for a lucky few. The truth is that financial growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens when there's a clear plan with intentional steps that build on each other. The solution is to create and follow a simple but powerful step-by-step framework that takes you from surviving to thriving. The first step is to stabilize by setting up an emergency fund and paying down high-interest debt, which removes the immediate stress that holds so many people back. The second step is to increase income through side hustles, skill building, or finding new opportunities at work, which gives you more resources to direct toward growth. The third step is to automate savings and investments so progress happens consistently without relying on motivation. The fourth step is to focus on building assets that grow over time, like index funds, real estate, or businesses. And the final step is to reinvest profits and compound growth, which accelerates the path toward abundance. Having a structured plan like this eliminates guesswork and creates momentum. It doesn't require perfection. It just requires consistency and the willingness to follow through. For example, imagine someone who feels stuck making $40,000 a year with no savings and $5,000 in credit card debt. Without a plan, they continue making minimum payments, saving little to nothing, and stressing every month about bills. But once they implement a clear roadmap, things shift. First, they cut back on non-essential spending and dedicate an extra $300 a month toward aggressively paying off their debt. Within 18 months, the debt is gone, freeing up that $300 plus the minimum payments they used to send to the credit card company. Next, they start funneling $500 a month into a high-yield savings account until they have 3 months of expenses set aside. With that security in place, they redirect those funds into index funds and start to see steady growth. At the same time, they use evenings to freelance online, bringing in an additional $400 a month that goes directly toward investments. Over time, this plan not only eliminates their financial stress, but also builds momentum toward creating lasting wealth. Another example is someone who wants to move from average to abundant by focusing on building assets. Suppose they save $10,000 over a couple of years, and instead of letting it sit idle, they use it as a down payment on a rental property. The rental income covers the mortgage and adds a small profit each month, while the property itself appreciates in value. They continue reinvesting the profits into another property or into index funds, and before long, they've built a portfolio that generates income without requiring their daily effort. What started as a small step in a clear plan snowballs into a system that compounds wealth year after year. The power of having a step-by-step plan is that it replaces guesswork with clarity and progress. Instead of drifting from one financial idea to the next, you know exactly what to do and when to do it. That structure turns small, consistent actions into massive results over time, creating a clear pathway from surviving on paychecks to achieving real prosperity. So, quick recap. First, we talked about shifting your mindset from scarcity to abundance. Then we saw why traditional saving methods keep you stuck and how smart alternatives accelerate growth. We covered the power of building multiple streams of income, using smart investing to let your money work for you, and adopting hidden habits that quietly build wealth over time. Finally, we wrapped it all up with a clear step-by-step plan to move from paycheck to prosperity. If you found this valuable, make sure to hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what habits or strategies you're planning to put into action. And don't miss the next video, where I'll dive into the biggest money traps keeping people broke in 2025 and how you can avoid them. It's going to open your eyes to things you probably don't even realize you're doing right now.